Welcome to Close Listening. I'm Zach Morgenstern, joined as always by silent co-host Ludwig von B. So quite a while ago now, I did a reaction video to the album Fresh Cream, the debut album by the band Cream. And I can't remember exactly what drove me to want to listen to that one. Maybe just the idea of a band that reminded me of cream soda. And if you look at the wonderful colors on their next record, Disraeli Gear, that certainly makes me think of cream soda. But this record, I can't help but feel it's an interesting product of music history. So Disraeli Gears comes out in 1967, so the same year as Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band. And it's as if the tide of the music industry is really turning away from the fact, oh, you can just put out songs and we'll eventually package them together on an album. To really know, you have to make albums. The album is some higher form of art. And with Cream, it's hard to tell if those ambitions were really there. If you look at the songs on this record, really just the music that's written by the members of Cream, which again is bassist Jack Bruce, guitarist Eric Clapton, and drummer Ginger Baker. The actual songs on the record rely on the contributions from various lyricists outside the band, including Felix Pappalardi, Gail Collins, and the poet Pete Brown. Martin Sharp is another name on there, and then they also do a cover of the blues man Arthur Reynolds. But the point is, on the one hand, there's this pressure for musicians to be auteurs, to create this coherent artistic vision, you know, with great art, great album art, memorable album titles. So, I mean, the title Disraeli Gears is just a silly pun on a type of bicycle and the long dead British Prime Minister Benjamin Disraeli. But, you know, at their core, what Cream is three very skilled musicians wanting to play the blues together. And the experience of listening to Disraeli Gears is the experience of just how much a little context can greatly change your perception. So when you're listening to that first album, Fresh Cream, basically what you just hear is blues with some cool harmony vocals going on. I like the first track on the album, Free, Free, I Feel Free, but it was all a very simple experience, especially when you looked at the lyrics. This time, however, you have essentially the same instrumentation. The music largely just relies on the skill on guitar, bass, and drums of the three musicians. Yet the combination of this colorful album cover and lyrics filled with references to colors and other psychedelic metaphors tries to take you to a different psychological space, a space Cream may or may not have wanted to take you to. So just like in my analysis of John Lennon's Imagine, I'm going to try and talk about listening to this album as if it's a story, even though that probably doesn't make sense. So we start with a song called Strange Brew. And my interpretation of this in the context of the album is the whole story is that it's kind of the legend of a psychedelic drug that our protagonist is tempted by. So right away, we start off with some memorable lyrics. She's a witch of trouble in electric blue, reference to a color, again, colorful psychedelia. In her own mad mind, she's in love with you. On a boat in the middle of a raging sea, she would make a scene for it all to be ignored. I'm pointing out that later line with a reference to a boat because there's a song later on the record about Ulysses from the story of the Odyssey, of course, a great story about journeying on the ocean to get home and fighting all kinds of monsters and weirdnesses along the way. So this album, you know, even if it's just these three guys playing the blues, certainly sets you up for this psychedelic adventure experience. Track number 2, perhaps the most famous song on this album, memorable title, Sunshine of Your Love. This is the next part of your setup. So this is a love song, but you sense there's a kind of desperation going on here. So our singer is desperately in love with someone, but the subtext is they're about to lose them. It's getting near dawn when lights close their tired eyes. Listened to in isolation, this song just sounds like a pretty happy love song. When you think of it in the context of a psychedelic record, you think about what's kind of weird about this one. It says, I'm with you, my love, the light's shining through on you. Yes, I'm with you, my love. In the morning, just we two. So rock with, you know, all its, you know, sexual liberation stuff generally tends to celebrate the nighttime. So why does this person want the morning? Is it because they don't trust this love to last? They want to see their love illuminated by bright lights. They want this fierce guarantee that it's gonna last. Well, if we hear this album as a story, it seems like it hasn't lasted because the third track is called World of Pain. The lyrics here are less psychedelic and more of a sort of proto-Morrissey thing. Outside my window is a tree, there only for me, and it stands in the gray of the city. No time for pity for the tree or me. I think World of Pain was my favorite song on this record. And so we have our setup. Our singer has heard about the strange brew. He was desperate to be happy in his relationship, but now he's stuck in a world of pain. With track 4, we get Dance the Night Away. We got more psychedelic lyrics here, and here's when our singer is starting to fantasize. Gonna build myself a castle high up in the clouds, lose these streets and crowds. And again, this longing for the odyssey, for adventure out on the ocean. Will find myself in ocean, sail into the blue, live with the swordfish. Now, speaking of oceans and blues, this transitions us to our next song, Blue Condition. This song was notably written by the drummer Ginger Baker, so no outside songwriters on this one, and he's the one singing it. So I guess that adds a level of realness to this song. And you can't necessarily tell it apart from the others, other than some of the lyrics are punctuated by the drum beats. I guess it makes sense if the singer-songwriter is also the drummer. So with this song, the protagonist of our story is continuing to be depressed. It's a vision of depression where rather than just freezing and giving up on life, you just sort of move through life robotically and uninspiredly. You're stuck in this monochrome of blue, and you really need to escape into the psychedelia of colors. And then finally, we get our escape with the next track, Tales of Brave Ulysses. And I guess this is when our protagonist gives in, takes the strange brew, and really heads off on his psychedelic adventure. So the lyrics to this one have a lot of color, and it's not literally a song about Ulysses. It's a song about wanting to be like Ulysses, wanting to be like Odysseus, experiencing the world. But it's more so generally psychedelic in that the lyrics suggest experiencing the world in a purely sensory way. For instance, it just directly calls the sea the turquoise. You experience this real thing very much through the sense of sight, and then this sea blinds you with mermaids, and you escape your winter depression riding into the violence of the sun. All these memorable but not quite realistic lyrics, not quite about the Odyssey, but about being inspired by the Odyssey. The next song, all capital letters, Swlabr, Swlabr, and it stands for She Walks Like a Bearded Rainbow. I guess maybe a reference to the poem She Walks in Beauty. And I don't know, just weird psychedelic lyrics, being with this rainbow person who has a beard and a mustache. The sound of this one is very Jimi Hendrix. And it's seemingly, I guess, about an alternative romantic relationship to the one at the beginning, this romantic relationship that exists in the psychedelic land. And who knows how much to read into it, but kind of a gay thing going on, though, how much we don't really know. The next song, however, is called We're Going Wrong. And this is the warning that as much as the psychedelic trip feels like an escape, it's not going to work. The song goes, please open your eyes, try to feel eyes. I found out today we're going wrong. We're going wrong. The next song, Outside Woman Blues, is a cover of a classic blues song. And so obviously it's hard to really justify saying this cover fits into a sort of psychedelic concept album. Realistically, it's just Cream going back to the blues. But again, if we're forcing ourselves to experience this album as a story, what would we say is going on? I guess it's kind of like a side character in the story talking to our tripped out protagonist and vaguely warning him to be careful about his weird hobbies, but also not really noticing what's going on. And thus our character is sort of stuck in hopelessness because he made the mistake of taking the strange brew and there's no one there to help him. And so the singer of the blues song, the side character goes, if you lose your money, great God, don't lose your mind. If you lose your money, great God, don't lose your mind. And if you lose your women, please don't fool with mine. This character is vaguely sensing that this person has made a weird decision, invested their money in the strange brew and might be losing their mind, but doesn't really have any perspective on this. So it's going like, don't steal my woman. The next song is Take It Back. This is another one with a very bluesy sound, complete with harmonica. And I guess my broader interpretation of it is the singer coming to realize just how scary the psychedelic world is, that it's not a real escape. Don't let them take me to where the streams are red. I want to stay here and sleep in my own bed, not this weird land of colors. I want to be in my weird head. Need all your loving blonde hair. Don't let me take me because I'm easily scared. So wanting back the relationship of sunshine of your love. I guess blonde hair makes me think of sunshine. And then finally, the album ends with a dark, goofy English folk song with twisted lyrics about a baby drowning in a bath or possibly just existing as a tiny person who went down the drain. It's a nice, fun way to end the record. So overall, there are a lot of ways to experience Cream's Disraeli Gears. You could just hear it as another act from a short-lived blues supergroup who are able to make cool sounds by altering the blues just a little bit, sort of slowing down their playing, really putting emphasis on Jack Bruce's bass, creating this unique 60s psychedelic sound that was, well, I guess not that unique, is also an important part of the Jimi Hendrix sound. Or you could try and hear it as more ambitious, as the concept suggested by this album art and the constant colorful lyrics suggest. So do you have any other ways of interpreting this record, of hearing it as a coherent whole album and not just a collection of original blues songs? Let me know in the comments below. I'm Zach Morgenstern. This is Ludwig von B. See you next time.